Greetings Exiles, I'm Cod Raziel, and today I'm just going to go over my Siege Ballista Hierophant gear and skill tree for Blight League. First of all, staple to the build, Iron Commander. The 6 link is still really cheap because they do drop from Blight encounters. Next, Fractal Thoughts. I thought this was going to be a lot more expensive than it was, but apparently they drop often enough that you can get a pretty decent one for fairly cheap. Hyrri's Demise was a bit more expensive. I don't know if this is a league start thing or if it's a Blight League not dropping as much prophecies thing, but time will tell. Astramentis was quite a bit more expensive this league, and that's because I believe quite a few summoners use it. But it's also a bit better for us now because we can anoint utmost swiftness onto it. Overall, a pretty good idea. Next, I haven't been able to afford a Hyrri's Ire yet, so I'm using a pretty cheap chest which has some life, some percent increased dexterity, and some attacks have increased critical strike chance, which isn't nearly as strong as a Hyrri's for our build, but that's good enough. Next, our gloves. We still got the same fizz converted to cold, as well as dexterity and life and a little bit of resistance. Garakon's Flight, still a staple for the build. We have damage penetrates enemy elemental resistances enchanted, although critical strike chance if you haven't crit recently will do just as well. Lastly, we have a Cyclopean Coil. These ones are also a bit more expensive early on in the league, so I went for a 14% one, which is suiting my purposes just fine. Our flasks remain just about the same, with a Seething Divine of Staunching for some healing when we need it. A Sanctified Mana Flask of Warding with the Enduring prefix. This makes it so that it doesn't expire when we're at full mana. Now, you can stack these up and the mana regeneration will continue for minutes and minutes and minutes. But the curse removal is 4.9 seconds after activating the last flask. So, I'm going to keep a few charges in there for removing curse and just spam it too much. Next, our Quicksilver Flask of Adrenaline has been replaced by a Quicksilver Flask of Acceleration for some increased attack speed during the Flask's effect, so that, during Blight encounters we are doing the most damage we possibly can without sacrificing our movement flask for general gameplay. Next, we use a Dying Sun. This boosts our projectile count, and since we are no longer using greater multiple projectiles in the Siege Ballista setup, this becomes a pretty important thing. Lastly, a Diamond Flask of Heat. I'd prefer this be a Diamond Flask of the Order, but I haven't quite gotten there yet, so that is what it is. As for the skill setup, it remains pretty much the same, with two notable exceptions, and that is two inclusions of the Inspiration support. The first one in the main attack. Inspiration gives us 8% more elemental damage per inspiration charge, as well as 10% increased critical strike chance, totaling 40% more elemental damage and 50% increased critical strike chance at 5 charges. The charges are generated by spending mana with a skill linked to inspiration. Note a skill, not the skill. So I've got inspiration linked to my main skill setup, as well as to my support skills, which are Frostbomb, Flame Dash, and Frenzy. Not only does this keep our inspiration charges up, but it also reminds us to use these skills during general play. Then I have my Steel Skin and my Cold Snap set up as before. Let's have a quick look over the passive tree. First of all, nothing has really changed with our Ascendancy, with the exception of Divine Guidance now granting us Transfiguration of Mind, which does give us a little bit of increased damage from our increased mana. Other than that, we do have substantial changes to the passive tree. I am not going down to the ranger just yet because I kind of like having 4,800 life instead of, what was it before, 3,500, somewhere around there. Anyway, so we go up to the Witch tree as we usually would for the conversion jewel, but since that doesn't exist anymore, we pretty much just come up here for some life and grab Shaman's Dominion as well as Heart and Soul for more life and mana. And then we place a Careful Planning here to get some more dexterity from these nodes here, making the entire trip not wasted. The same can be said for the Templar area, in that we're using a fluid motion at the moment. This is because I can't afford a Maracas jewel yet. You can bet your ass that one of these jewels will change to a Maracas jewel when it can. The most notable change in the tree, however, is we pick up a lot of totem nodes now. And that is because next to Primal Manifestation, we have Totem Life and Elemental Resistances, giving us 16% resistance to our totems. And then down here we have Ironwood, which gives us another 16%, giving us a total of 32%, and pretty much capping our totem's elemental resistances. In addition to that, we don't lose much damage by doing that, so there's really no harm in doing it. Over here, I've still got one of these survival instincts, but I'd eventually want to change that to either a Maracas jewel or a conversion jewel. But for the moment, this is doing just nicely. Right now I'm sitting at 9 totems, which hopefully I can get to 10 as time progresses. But all in all, the build I would say is still spectacular, and I would say the build itself is better for Blight League than it was for Legion League, even though it was really nice for Legion League as well. So with all that said, hopefully I can get you guys a gameplay video as soon as I figure out my OBS settings and whatnot. But for the meantime, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoy the build, and good luck, and stay juicy.